So, as you said, it was around 75 that you moved to RCA Records, that you, and you were soon paired as a duet act with Mr. Jim Ed Brown.
Yes. Chet Atkins, they were going to release, songs on me, and I was signed just as an individual act. But before they could really do anything with my career, Chet Atkins found the song, I Don't Want to Have to Marry You, and it was just stuck on the end of a tape that someone else had sent, some other songs they were pitching, and just as an afterthought, they threw that extra song on it, and that turned out to be the only song that they felt was a hit, And Chet came to our producer, then Bob Ferguson, who also produced Jim Ed Brown, and said, do you have anybody that you can record with Jim Ed Brown on this duet? Because he said it's a hit. And we need to get it recorded before some other duet team gets it. And so he called me up and he talked to Jim Ed, and Jim Ed really did not want to record with me because he had been, with his sister Maxine, and then when Bonnie, his sister, was with him, and then when they retired, it's just very, very difficult for the people. They don't like for you taking something away from them that they have loved. So he had to really struggle to get his own career going by himself before he had hits,
Yeah.
And so that was understandable, because he didn't want to get locked in a duet where it took over, and then, because most duets don't stay together that long, most of them are 3 or 4 or 5 years, and then, you move on to your own career. And so, I understood his thoughts there. But anyway, they talked him into it. I flew down and actually met him in the studio. And I was just as green as a gourd from Hannibal, Missouri. I'd never been anywhere. And I walked in with the musicians, and everybody didn't know anything that was going on, but we recorded I Don't Want to Have to Marry You. And the B-side of it was Have I Told You Lately That I Love You? And they released it, and 3 months later, it was the number 1 song in the nation. So, happened quick.
And I believe Fred Imus, the brother of Don Imus, the famous radio host, he was one of the writers of that song, or maybe the writer of it.
Well, Fred Imus and Phil Sweet from out on the California coast co-wrote the song.
Oh, okay.
And Fred and Don Imus has talked about that many times on his show, of his brother writing a song for us.
And so, as you said, that went right to number 1 pretty much right away, didn't it?
Yes, in 3 months it was the number 1 song in the nation, and RCA wanted an album from us, and I flew down to Nashville, and we recorded an album, the I Don't Want to Have to Marry You album, and I made my first appearance on the Grand Ole Opry the week that I Don't Want to Have to Marry You was number 1. And then, after that, flew to Six Flags Over Texas and filmed 13 television shows for Nashville on the Road. So it was a very fast whirlwind happening, and it just was the monster so quick. I Don't Want to Have to Marry You was number 1 in some places, and I know in Oklahoma and Texas for 4 months. And we were number 1 3 weeks in a row on the Billboard chart. So it was just it was a great song for me, and and I still enjoy singing it.
So how did it feel to have, well, I mean, for you to pretty much come into the studio, as you said, without having too much prior professional recording experience, and then have a number 1 record right away?
Well, it was overwhelming. My ex-husband and I took our 3 little kids. I had 3 little children then, and excuse me. And we decided that before I got busy on the road, we would go on a camping trip, and we rented this camper trailer and drove out Colorado and drove out through that way, and we'd be sitting in a campground and sitting out in a lawn chair and you could hear I Don't Want to Have to Marry You coming from people's radios or their whatever they were playing in their trailer, and it was just, and of course I never let anybody know it was me, but it was really, I mean, that's something to sit there and you could hear your song playing just over and over, so it was rather overwhelming, but it was just awesome.
And, of course, you've appeared on the Opry many, many times since that first time. What was it like to appear there for the first time?
Well, somebody asked me that recently, and they said, well, Keith Bilbrey was interviewing Jim Ed and I, and I said, truthfully, I don't remember much about that night because I think it was so overwhelming with the #1 record and being in the studio recording the album and then the Opry and trying the clothes and trying to be in the studio, also doing remotes for the television show Nashville on the Road. So I don't remember. They said, who was on with you that night? And I said, I have no earthly idea. All I know is that Jim Ed was on, but yes, I've performed regularly on the Opry all through the years, and I still do it a lot. And it means more to me now because that it's changing and it's slipping away and there are less shows at the Opry, and so you certainly do not take it for granted. You appreciate every second of it.
Well, you may know this, Helen. I've been meaning to ask someone down there. I noticed on the Opry website there is only one show on Saturday night now. Is that just a temporary thing?
I hope. I think that's the way it will be until they go back, in March to the big Opry. But they're down at the Ryman. But I don't know if anybody knows that. They're going to try. They had shows on Tuesday night, and that's on hold right now. And I know that the television show, that the live televised Opry portion is also on hold for a while. And they're going to attempt a Thursday night Opry of new artists and the legends, but singing the older songs. And I don't know how that will work because I feel like if Josh Turner or one of those is on the Opry, they're going to want to hear his hit, not him singing somebody else's. So, I think they're just trying different things, trying to make something work, and they don't really, and, everybody is wondering.
I suppose it could probably go either way, too. Some of the older folks coming might just want to go to that show opposed to going to another one that might have more newer styles of country added to it.
Well, I don't know what they're doing unless they're trying to introduce, I don't know if they're trying to introduce the younger crowd to some of the older songs, because the people who have come to the Opry all through the years are, they've grown up with it, but the new young fans, like Kenny Chesney's fans and people like that, are not the kind that come to the Opry a lot. They're more used to going to a big concert with a big production and blaring music, very loud. And so the young people that are following the Opry now and the new music are not basically the people who used to come to the Opry, and they don't come